In this video, I want to show you how I made this cool little modern bench just using some 2x6s from your home store. So I had these 2x6s laying around, so I'm going to cut them into some more manageable pieces, not to their final dimensions, probably a couple inches longer than that. And then I am going to mill these up to make them look a little bit cleaner. If you don't have a jointer or a planer, you don't have to do this. You can definitely just pocket hole everything together. But I have a jointer and a planer, so I want to do that to make them look a little bit cleaner. And now that I have them all cleaned up, I'm going to start gluing them together, just using some Titebond wood glue and some Pony Jorgensen F clamps. This is going to be the bench seat, and now I'm going to cut the legs a little bit closer to size. And then I'm going to set up my table saw fence to the thickness of the stretcher that I'm using, and cut out a piece here that I will use when I'm gluing up the legs. So I'll set my stretcher right there for reference, and then put these pieces into the legs, and that will give me a nice through tenon without doing any extra joinery. Then I'm going to mark where my tenon ends, and then just do a couple lines so that way when I glue it up I just have some reference points. And then I'm going to use some more Titebond Original. And then match my lines up. Some more Pony Jorgensen bar clamps. And then I always let my glue up sit for a day or overnight, but you don't have to. Then I'm going to cross cut one side of both of the legs, so that way I have a reference point. Set up my fence on my table saw to make the legs both, I believe it was 17 inches. And then I made them a little wide because I knew I could cut them down at this point instead of just doing it beforehand. So I take an inch off of each side of the legs to get them to the final width that I like. And then here I'm going to cut a little 45 in the stretcher just because I like how that looks. I think it looks cool. Then I'm going to put a little bit of glue there and then slide them together. Nice and snug fit. Then I'm going to take a Forstner bit here and recess a hole and pre-drill, and then add I think it's like a 3.5 inch screw to hold it in place. And this part here I did incorrectly. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting a figure 8 fastener. I really should be putting that fastener on the legs, because this way isn't going to account for wood movement on the bench. So the point of those fasteners are to be able to move from side to side, and that bench top is going to expand widthwise. So there's not going to be any room for those fasteners to move. So I don't know, I just wasn't thinking about it when I was doing it, but if you use these figure 8 fasteners, put them on the legs. And then I'm just using a clear matte polyurethane to seal the wood. Thanks for checking out my video. It only took me two 2x6s and maybe a little bit of scrap to make this bench, so probably like $30 in materials. So fun little inexpensive project to try out. Make sure you check me out on all social media at Gerber Design Co. and hit that subscribe button.